not the main audience for this movie. So this review is a perspective from someone who is not a sports fan of football in the slightest. I grew up with football on TVs. The only people that really aren't into football in my family are me, my two siblings, my grandmother, and her husband of, I want to say, 6 or 7 years now. And I grew up with family who were screaming, yelling for their team. My mom still does that. I can hear her a little bit. And it affected my sleep when I was younger, which was already bad to the point where I was only going to school with 3 hours of sleep when I was in 5th grade, 4th grade. And then when I went to middle school, it got up to like 4, maybe 4.5. It was that bad. And whenever they would scream or yell at TV, it would keep me up later and later. It got to one point, I was so annoyed with it one year. I was just done, to where I would go to somewhere else that would not have the TV on just to get a good amount of sleep, or go somewhere, just try to go somewhere so I didn't have to hear the stupid TV. And that's where I'm coming from when it comes to football. I understand there's going to be some football fans that like this movie, but for me, I'm coming in with the perspective of not being a football fan in the slightest at all. It tells the story of Cameron, who is training under Isaac White to become the best, or the GOAT quarterback in football. Going right into the pros, I really liked the performances from all the characters. I liked Isaac White's character, I liked Cameron's character, even the side characters I really did enjoy. I think this movie is shot really well. This movie is also covered in visuals, and as I really like visuals, it's part of why I like Suspiria, so it definitely did keep me very entertained throughout the movie. I also think the gore that we do get and the effects are pretty well done here. There's nothing that really stood out to me that was like really bad or terrible. Yeah, I really like that aspect of the movie. But going right into the mix section, the first mix is definitely easily going to be the timing of the movie. Now this could be for me personally, because this is not my type of movie. This definitely could be that reasoning and part of it, but for me it felt a little bit too long in the theater. And but as someone who does know this type of movie, I think I can see them not complaining about that either. And there's also one mix here that is going to be, I'm going to talk this a little in my spoilers, but there's a logical question that really left the theater in my mind, is still wondering in my mind towards the end. And there's some answers that I can come up with, but if something kept going on for a long time, my question is how they keep going with it, and how does that, I understand supernat-ish to effect, but there's just one question going through my mind that is a huge mix that leaves me like a little bit, what? And I also wish we saw a deeper conversation when it came to drugs being used in this movie. We do seen bits of it, but I wish they went deeper with the subject. One negative, and that is going to be the message. Now I understand this message is pushing your body so hard to do the sport you love, to provide for your family, or for another amount of reason, for the fame, for the money, to help your family. But I mainly say this as a negative because, again, I can't really connect to this movie because I really honestly could care less about football as a sport. But also the visuals kind of took away from the message for me when watching, especially towards the end. I understood what they were saying, but it definitely took away from what they were trying to say, for me at least. So that's definitely more of a negative, but that could definitely, again, could be someone who's more into this movie. It could not be a bad thing. But that is really it for the negatives. Let's talk about some spoilers. And the first spoiler I really want to talk about is the one question I mentioned earlier, which is, correct me if I'm wrong if I get this wrong. So throughout time, there was 2 players that would kill each other, and the one that walks away will get the contract and stardom. Correct me if I have that wrong. Now, if they've been doing that for a long time, hypothetically speaking, and there was a lot of people in that field, how do they get away with it for so long? And this is such a small question, but it just bothers me when leaving this movie. I could see lawyers being paid off, or everyone being paid off, but there were so many people in that field for going as long as it did, and some people really were scared. Did no one else really react like that before when he was going off on them? Or there's just so many questions of how they got away with it for so long. Would they not connect the dots over time? This quarterback was killed. Is this quarterback? There's just so many questions when it comes to that. I mean, how do you get away with murder like that for so long? And I guess the murders, when you get in the actual house of the people that get killed, maybe they don't get reported. That's fine. That I can accept that. But when it comes to the ritual, I'm like, how do you not? Surely they look into the disappearance of these people and see it. It's just a question that lingers in my mind. Maybe they paid off lawyers or something like that. Just a question in my mind. But I also, again, think the messaging of, with him caring about his family and doing it for all of that with his dad, again, I liked the way they were going about it, and I understand what they were trying to say, but the visual was really coded over that for me. And again, like I said, it could be because I couldn't really connect with the movie. But even towards the end, I felt like the end scene was a little bit too much for me with what they were trying to say. I enjoyed the visuals a little bit in that scene, but it just felt like a lot. But I get what they were going for. But overall, I think this movie is not for me, but I do not think it's a bad movie by a long shot at all. So comment down below if you've seen him or you are gonna go see it. And if you are a sports fan, comment down below what you think of it, because I think people that do like sports should have a completely different perspective on this movie than me.